Just like that, we're on our fourth and final set of the day in the upper bracket, the winner's bracket. Mifflin will correct me if I don't say winner's bracket and loser's bracket. The winner's bracket of the North American SCC qualifier tournament. And we had, some fan favorite names in our third set of the day. I think our fourth set of the day, very similar as well. The LEONCITOS versus DDD is going to round out and finish off the day for us here. Again, upper bracket. I already messed up. The winner's bracket side of this tournament. None of these teams going home today, Miff.
No.
Because they are winners. Are they in the winner's bracket yet, though?
Yes, you start in the winner's bracket.
Even if you haven't won anything?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I appreciate you having a confirmed answer on that. You were about to say something?
Yeah, so fun fact about this upcoming set.
Oh, great. Love fun facts.
I believe, the name of the team, LEONCITOS. I believe Cito, it means small, so small Leons.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Myth. You are completely correct, and I'm proud of you for, you're talking Korean to our boy Lewis. You're a, what's the word for knowing a lot of languages?
Polyglot?
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Sounds weird. I don't want to say that on broadcast.
English,
I'm going to let you say that one. Let's look at what we've got so far here this week in the North American SCC qualifiers. 3 games in, 3 2-0s. Vamps, Great Gentlemen, and the Sturdy Artisans all grabbing a 2-0 win in their set. The Sturdy Artisans and the Vamps, I think, expected. Great Gentlemen, Jazzy Jaguars was a close set, and Great Gentlemen able to come back. This is another interesting set here, Miff, between the LEONCITOS and DDD, and we'll get into the meat and potatoes of this matchup in a moment as we look at the winner's bracket and the loser's bracket starting to fill out. The loser of this matchup will go on to face ET, and the winner will move on to face the Sturdy Artisans. That is a fun matchup, LEONCITOS, if the LEONCITOS win this one. LEONCITOS versus Sturdy Artisans would be a lot of fun. DDD, though, as well, because this LEONCITOS team is going to be very difficult to take down. Heed, Leon, Spreen, Hurrywind, and Snoopy.
Sheesh.
So, a lot of players who tried to qualify into the SPL during that SPL qualifier tournament obviously fell short, but Hurrywind and Snoopy made it pretty far on. They made it late on into that SPL qualifier tournament. Were fighting for the last possible spot, ended up losing to who are now the Valhalla Valkyries, at the time the Winter Dogs. And I kind of want to zoom in on this duo lane, Myth, Hurrywind and Snoopy, because Snoopy was, I think, the standout player of that SPL qualifiers roster. And Hurrywind swapping roles from mid to support. Saw some ups and downs that weekend.
Yeah, I actually talked to Hurrywind about this a fair bit, and he said that it's going to take a little while until he thinks he reaches the peaks that he can in support, but it very much fits his mentality as a player, and I think that is true. I mean, watch some of his SPL performances in mid. He is one of the least selfish players. He's always splitting farm. He's always giving up farm, making rotations, trying to help out his side lanes. So if you're going to be that selfless, may as well play support. It's going to take a little while as he makes that adaptation of going from the kind of furthest back line, just real squishy, big damage output mid laners to in-your-face, create space style of play. It's about as far of a gap as you could expect, but I would argue that he has already made massive strides in his performance in this role, and I think you're right to highlight him. Worth noting, though, on the other side, El Leon was playing in mid during the tournament for the SPL plans, but I believe has moved to the jungle for this set.
Do you like that move for him? I think.
Yes.
And this is just with my recollection of streams from Leon streams, things like that. Feels very comfortable in the jungle. He's very much a shot caller for his teams, and so I think the jungle might be a comfortable fit for Leon moving forward.
I talked to Leon about this move as well.
Oh, fantastic.
I was telling him, it was after the SPL plans, we went out to dinner, I said, hey man, look, you are a phenomenal shot caller. I think that he and I had a lot of similar trajectory in our competitive careers, except he's still going because he's much better than me.
Right.
But his main strength as a player is his ability to dictate team fights, to dictate communications, kind of strategize, go for these objective plays, really act as the brain for his squad. And we agreed that in mid lane, you don't really have a whole lot of opportunity to control the match. It's, hey, somebody crossed my lane. I'm going back to farming now. And that's generally all you need from your mid laner in communication, except in the late game team fight, where they can tell you whether or not their abilities are up. So I think now in the jungle, he can more so act as that pillar of communication for his squad. And I'm expecting to see the entire team really benefit from that.
Yeah, LEONCITOS, I think, Miff, go into this matchup as the favorites up against DDD. who have some name recognition of their own, but also sprinkled in there some newcomers, some up-and-comers, and makes this roster very interesting. We'll get a good heat check on how good these guys are playing with one another in this first matchup. Stav, Caps Guy, Bayernary Promise, and of course Donut Doug round out the roster here. And so, you know, I like that we start with Bayernary, SEC talent, Promise there as well out of the support role. Has been pretty consistent in the SEC. And so this is a roster that has played around this level and has done it very effectively. And so I think actually might surprise the LEONCITOS despite maybe less name recognition.
Yeah, I think that the LEONCITOS will definitely have respect for this squad. Each individual member of their team has played against this team a whole lot, so I'm expecting this to be a highly contentious match. You're right to bring up the three-man core of Bayernary and Promise Douglas as well, because these are the guys that have been around for a very long time. These are the guys that have been competing at this level for a while. Stav and Capsky, both names that I'm not overly familiar with.
Yep.
I haven't got a whole lot of data on them, but I'm sure they're going to be able to perform very well. If you guys are privy to these players, Capsky is actually a name change from Scary Terry. So, look, if you know
Why don't
him
you say
and
the
he
whole
performed
name,
well,
Miff?
why not?
Why don't you say the whole
Because I don't want to get fired. Why don't you say the whole name?
No, because I don't want to get fired. I was seeing if I could bait you in. Look, Billy, who runs our replays, has done such a good job of consolidating information and setting up good talking points for us on the desk. That's one that I'm not going to say. We'll stick with Scary Terry, and then I'll let everyone else at home do their own research. Picks and bans for Game 1 between the LEONCITOS and DDD. What did that make me think of? Oh, diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah, probably not.
I'm so sorry. History Channel?
There's no shot. No chance.
I'm so sorry. Good Eats?
Is that a channel?
I'm so sorry. Alton John? I don't know, man.
That's
the Good Eats guy.
Alton Brown?
I'm so sorry.
Were you thinking Elton John?
I'm so sorry. Phil Collins? Please do the P's and B's.
No, bro, I can't. I gotta cast at least 2 games with this. You said Alton John.
Dude, it's not as bad as Taco's Stone Cold Steve Harvey. You know, it's not that egregious. You don't gotta laugh at
You're
me,
right, it
bro.
wasn't that egregious. Yeah, but then you said Phil Collins.
For In the Air Tonight.
Okay, I was about to ask if you could name me something Phil Collins has done.
Yeah, that's it.
I was nervous you were gonna say like
he made that
Danger
song for
Zone
The
or
Hangover.
something. You're right. All right, you know what? I will do picks and bans as requested, Miff. Serket continues to get banned out. Bacchus as well as a Fenrir. And I'm curious with this LEONCITOS team, not only in this set, but moving forward, where they prioritize Leon. Because we've seen certain teams with kind of that one core guy with a more eclectic god pool. They like to save those picks for later on. And so I wonder if that's something we'll see with the LEONCITOS moving forward. Maybe you get Snoopy's picks a little bit earlier on, give him something comfortable out of ADC. That's what DDD have in their own mind here. They're going to get Izanami in the duo lane, and then Horus as well. So you look at pressure in duo, Miff, and Izanami and Horus are able to add plenty of that.
Yeah, Izanami brings the lane pressure on her own, but matched up with Horus, you've got a whole lot of kill pressure, even against a Charybdis, who, if you're able to burn those beads, should still fall just to the damage core of Izanami and Horus. That silence going to go a long way to make sure that escape doesn't work out. So I think if we see anything from the LEONCITOS, it's going to be a slower duo lane where they kind of wait for the supports to rotate out, and then you have your Charybdis free farm. Whereas Triple D, they're trying to bring the fight early on.
Yep. Bologna might be able to assist in that. We did see Bologna, I don't know, I want to pile on too bad. We saw Bologna with, what, Beads and Shell earlier on.
We did.
Maybe stick with Teleport, Persistent Teleport on that. Allow Bologna to get into the fights a little bit earlier. So support in the mind of DDD here as far as their bans go. Bacchus taken away, as well as the Ares. Remember, Hurrywind playing support for this LEONCITOS team. Through that SPL qualifier tournament, we saw a lot of Atlas that looked good. The Bacchus definitely looked good for Hurrywind as well. Kepri did see some play. So this is a team in DDD that has obviously done their research and know the types of picks that Hurrywind is already comfortable on out of support, and forcing Hurrywind on something that will require maybe a little bit more effort, some more growing pains in that support role. But as far as setup goes here, Miff, between Horus, Bologna, and Gilg, I think DDD have set the stage quite well for themselves.
Super strong front line, so all they need now is some consistent AoE damage or some long-range artillery damage to kind of shore up that back line. Izanami's going to have a good deal of that on her own, but something else that could finish off these kills can be very important. I would say that Triple D's draft is a little bit one-note in their CC. It's either going to be a dash from hi-rez or an ult in from Bologna. Gilgamesh CC generally going to be slightly conditional in these late-game team fights. Wins of Shamash really the name of the game for him there. I was going to say that we could see Hercules support for LEONCITOS. It's the only other pick that I think we've got a lot of data on from Hurrywind. But instead, it's an Athena, and I'm not certain that I like Athena in this draft, Dave. Generally, it's taunt followed up with consistent damage. This time, it's going to be taunt Bone Rush, and that's just about it. Or taunt second ability from Charybdis. You don't have, like, that standard raw damage output or, like, Agni or, like, a Kraken or something along those lines. It's a lot of small pokes, I would say.
Right, set up, and then what is what we're looking for the LEONCITOS moving forward. Mercury as well raises my eyebrows going into game number 1 between the LEONCITOS and DDD. This is our 4th and final best of 3 of the day in the winner's bracket of the North American Challenger Circuit qualifying. And I want to start right here with Leon Miff. He's on the Mercury. You are looking for Leon to play the shot collie playmaking style of pick, and I think Mercury is able to check that box.
He is. He gets to choose where he takes his fights. It's very easy to find ganks on this pick. You just run up your lane, utilize that semi-global ultimate. He's got some good targets for it as well. Donut Doug specifically, I think, going to be the target of a lot of aggression throughout the early portions of this game. You've got great setup from your Athena, who should be able to help out a fair bit with lane pressure. Athena has deceptively strong level 2, where she's able to put out a lot of damage with her passive reach, as well as just the dash and things along those lines. But on the other end, Leon's going to have a hard time ganking mid post level 5. Aphrodite with Undying Love essentially gets beads and Aegis built into one button, as well as just having a standard beads as well. Makes it very, very hard for Mercury to perform.
I wonder as well, Miff, and I like that you bring up the Aphrodite here as Hurrywind dashes in at level 2. I wonder where anti-heal starts to get prioritized in this game. We haven't had to talk much about anti-heal yet today. We did see a Hell in our previous game, so there's plenty of healing there. I mean, with Flat Pen the way it is, a lot of mid laners are just buying Divine Ruin anyway because of how effective that tree is. Do you think you might need it elsewhere, outside of just Spreen buying that Divine Ruin, specifically because there's an Aphrodite in the mid lane for DDD?
Yeah, I think it's pretty likely we see something like a Pestilence or Contagion across the board. I mean, just standard anti-heal procedure is going to make it a little bit harder for Baronary to get his value. I'm not the biggest fan on the planet of going Ankh against Aphrodite specifically, but because it's Aphrodite and Horus, I would argue that you should probably get Ankh, just because you're going to be applying that heal pretty widely in these team fights. Against just Aphrodite, it's 2 targets. They're going to get that Ankh passive applied, but Horus has AoE heals, and he's got to be pretty choosy with it. If he doesn't use it, he loses out on an escape, and if he does use it, all of a sudden your whole team's taking a little bit more damage. So I'm keeping my eyes on the relics of LEONCITOS.
Stav had some early pressure, has some early pressure over in the solo lane. As a 2 versus 2 melding of the minds reaches in the middle. Hey, perfect timing. Stav has pressure. Stav capitalizes on pressure. It's first blood, a solo kill on Heed for Stav over in the solo lane, and DDD off to an amazing start. Could get better if Snoopy and Hurrywind end up dying here on the left side of the map. Snoopy returning some good damage, but there is no jungle support to be had, and important to dodge out those last couple of auto attacks as Snoopy able to effectively trade a little bit of damage back. But Miff, I'll admit, I'm surprised with the way that the early part of this game has gone. Snoopy steps up, has to use the beads, and walk out as well. Just feels relentless right now from DDD.
Yeah, Hurrywind able to return a little bit of damage on the tail end, so Donut Doug gonna have to show some respect in that lane, but I am surprised to see Bologna get that much of a better end of these engagements. Heed was inside his tower. I gotta see how this one plays out. He just died to wave. He just died to wave.
He did die to wave. But look how low they are. You know, I'm sticking around to try to finish off those minions as well, probably. Unfortunate for Heed, though, and that's given Stav now not only first blood, but a level lead over there in solo lane, and you imagine a little bit more credence, the ability to control things like blue buff, depending on how Capsky wants to rotate. But this is what we've seen a lot of over in duo. where Hurrywin gets poked out or Snoopy gets poked out, and then there is some effective trading on the back end. Cap's guy goes to mid, burns beads off Spreen. The activity level, Myth, of this DDD team in the first 3 minutes of the game is not giving the LEONCITOS any opportunity to react or make plays of their own.
Yeah, we were expecting Triple D to get a decent level of pressure in the long lane just because they've got a very aggressive lane duo between Izanami and Horus, but solo lane I was expecting to be generally a moot point. I wasn't really thinking we'd see an Amaterasu fall, especially considering she's got Death Toll, she can move in towards that Berserker Shield, she's got Sustain, hard baked into the kit, as well as CC immunity. I didn't think Bellona had a whole lot of potential there, and now that she's ticked over to level 5, Heed that is, I don't think Stav's going to be able to repeat that performance, but the damage has been done. We're looking at a 1-level lead for this Bellona. Silver linings where they lie for LEONCITOS. Stav doesn't have teleport. It's just a beads. That means that it's going to be really hard for anyone to rotate over and make Stav lose his lead. It's going to be very difficult to kill this guy, but you don't have to worry about that lead bleeding into the rest of the map.
All right, Myth, now we've reached that level 5 moment for this Mercury. So Leon with more of an ability to impact lanes.
Did he go Golden Blade? Huh.
Did indeed go Golden Blade. If you would have given me half a second, Myth, we would have gotten... Just kidding. Yes, Golden Blade on Leon has the ability to impact the map, and an interesting first item in the Golden Blade.
Yeah, it really speeds up your jungle farm. He can just walk up. He doesn't have to use any of his abilities to clear anymore. Just 2-3 auto attacks going to finish off the majority of these camps. But in the team fight, I'm not certain that he's going to get a whole lot of value from it. Maybe you could say that whoever Baron Ares linked up to is probably going to be stacked up on him so you can get some of that damage spread throughout. But this is just an item that when I see picked up tells me that these guys are trying to hyper farm the early. They're trying to just hit that mid to late game stride as quickly as possible. So I would not be surprised if we see Leon kind of slow down his pace as far as ganks are concerned and instead highly prioritize just farming the map.
Yeah, this is something that's not unheard of for Leon-led teams. I think back to some of the matches that we watched during the SPL qualifier tournament, sort of a slower, more methodical farm style of gameplay for another maybe even 10 minutes or so from this point on. But this is something that we saw a lot a couple weeks ago, was milking the obelisk out and then teams paying for it, but it felt worth it.
Yikes.
Sonic Boom right down the middle. No good. Leon takes the ultimate from Hurrywin as well, and so the first attempt at turning a fight from the LEONCITOS goes missing.
I am interested if they are going to go for that combo continually. If you do have Hurrywin channel the ultimate before you shoot off Mercury's ult, you could just have like a double dunk situation, which could be pretty cool and very, very hard to react to. Maybe not the best combo against something like an Aphrodite. Again, Undying Love going to kind of invalidate that combo.
Watch out for Donut Doug. Look at the Izanami on the minimap coming all the way behind this fight. Leon has to walk away, but unable to do so as the winds of Shamash will deal the last bit of damage, and now continued threat from DDD as the LEONCITOS still searching for pressure here early. I am impressed with the way that DDD have played this early game, and that's just a collapse onto Leon, who's in a bit of a bad spot. There was a great rotation over from Donut Doug as well, just for an insurance policy. And LEONCITOS have just not been able to get much done, but Snoopy loves doing this, loves trading, loves looking for 1v1s. And with a 1-level lead, thanks to being left alone, able to put some pressure here in duo.
And he's allowed to stand here because if you look at the map, it's Hurrywin going for the solo invade on the red buff. He's acting as a mobile ward, essentially. He's able to spot out anyone from Triple D that rotates over. Snoopy going to make use of that, take the purple buff on his own. Hurrywin successful in his own invade, and Triple D may have won the team fight, but they lose their red, they lose their purple. They don't have timer on the red. I do believe that Donut Doug does get timer on the purple buff, so they should know that they're relatively synced, but LEONCITOS, they do enough there to claw back a bit of that lead.
Promise is in mid. Spreen has beads, though. So even if there was a gank in from Promise, Spreen likely would have been safe. Can you say the same for Promise, though? There's a whole lot being piled into the mid lane, and Promise is able to channel the ultimate and get out. That is Spreen's ult and Leon's ult that go down. And Myth, this is something you referenced. How much are we trying to pour into the mid lane, especially when Baron Ares around? Undying Love and then To the Skies just gets Promise right on out. So 2 ults for 2 ults, I suppose, to be fair to the LEONCITOS. A bit of an even trade.
An even trade, but Baron Ares' ultimate should be coming back pretty quickly. He went for the Chronos Pendant as well as the Sands of Time, so already has 30% CDR going forward. You don't really have any CDR for El Leon. It's not that standard Jotuns. Instead, it's the Golden Blade. So you may have forced out the same amount of ultimates, but Triple Ds just come back up more often.
Yep. Whoa. You're right. The Undying Love just a tick away from being back up. Spreen just a little bit behind that has Chronos Pendant as well. Snoopy and Donut Doug left alone on the left side of the map. Saw that Harpy pit changed on left, Miff. Only the one Harpy hanging out, ready for people to farm on up. You're shaking your head, though.
No, I love that.
Do you love it?
Yeah, I think that's a great change. There's so much farm in the dual lane. They didn't need those small camps, too. They could just have that one big one.
So do you think that the hunters who complain about sitting in lane and farming all game, they're only there farming because there's so much farm?
Yes, if there were less camps, they wouldn't be there as much.
Right.
I mean, like, let's do some math real quick. You
Sure.
got purple. You've got the Harpies around the Gold Fury. You got the other purple. That's 4 right there. You got the left camp. You got 2 Nagas in the lane, and you have your waves. Compare that to Soul Lane. You got, like, Totem of Ku and blue buff.
Are we counting Totem of Ku as a...
Yeah, sure. and like 1 Naga, so you have half the Nagas, and you got the 1 Harpy.
Miff, not only did you immediately know there were 16 teams in each bracket in
I'm
NA and
nuts.
EU, you know how many Nagas are in each lane as well.
I
You're
go
just on it
crazy,
today.
man. That's how you get hired here. If you could send an email to Hindu Man with the amount of Nagas per lane, you might just become a caster.
Oh, you're going to get fired and replaced with one of the people who sent in.
Please don't come for my job.
Yeah, please don't. Hurrywin walks into mid, gets knocked up by Promise. We've seen this a lot. Promise just hanging out in mid, Bayonary sustaining on up, and Horus happy just to absorb some of the farm that's happening in the mid lane. Haven't seen kills yet for Leon, despite some attempts at it. And so the Sonic Booms haven't quite connected. Haven't really seen him look over towards left Miff. Only mid lane has seen a lot of that pressure. And so Donut Doug on the Izanami, 2 levels behind Snoopy. Maybe LEONCITOS feeling like there's enough pressure with Snoopy alone there that you don't need to send the jungler on over. Hurrywin drop kicked against the wall here, taking a whole lot of damage, and the body blocks are going to delay the escape, but he splits the upright, gets on out, and Hurrywin staves off death.
So that is the commitment of Blink from Promise, and that's generally all they use in that trade and sending Hurrywin back to base. You lose a little bit of your engage, but nearly hit pay dirt.
Oh, that's an ultimate
Good
in
grab.
from Spreen. Hurrywin rotates over as well, and now LEONCITOS on the board. Promise being chased down, but I'm not sure there's enough damage. Hurrywin trying to supply it. But your lowly Athena with a sovereignty can't get the last bit onto Promise. And so, finally, signs of life from the LEONCITOS, Smith. And it's right where you want it, in the mid lane. It's going to put Bayonary a couple levels behind.
The LEONCITOS may have caught out Bayonary, but they got to do it again, man. Undying Love coming up pretty shortly. Still has bead, so it won't be easy. But 2-level lead for Spreen. I'm sure they're very happy with that. On the side of the Order team, maybe they can start to shift their attention elsewhere on the map. I would like to see Leon try and put some pressure in the duo lane. Doug is behind as well, so as far as neutral farm is concerned, LEONCITOS essentially had just about everywhere. Even Heed, who had fallen down for First Blood, has already made the comeback and gone for some invades.
That's an important turnaround as well, especially with how this lane started. There's a concern. You know, you need this Amaterasu to rotate into these fights and provide a certain amount of pressure. And Estav was able to really push down on the gas pedal. Heed's impact was under a bit of question, but able to stabilize, get things back as we stand. The builds are in the exact same spot, but Heed is going to have to go back and spend up here in a moment. We'll see what direction the Amaterasu goes, because the builds are mirrored up to this point. Donut Doug is caught back up to Snoopy. I think that's pretty important here. Was a 2-level deficit, but no longer. Now just about a 1-level discrepancy there. And so we're going to get to see Miff, you know, an Izanami and a Charybdis starting to go into this mid-game point relatively even with one another. And that's something the LEONCITOS are probably okay with.
Oh, it's going to happen.
As Leon charges up the Sonic Boom.
Oh, he's going for it.
You think he will?
I hope so. He's charging it up, man.
You gotta let it fly eventually. That's a back channeled by oh, no. That's a ping on top of Donut Doug. I thought it was a back circle.
Oh, here it comes.
Leon
The combo.
moves forward underneath the tier 1 tower, but that is quick on the beads. Surely Donut Doug dies here. Yes, you're sending Hurrywin to the left side of the map as well. And that's just a 3-man dive, and Donut Doug, even with perfect beads, will not survive that. And the LEONCITOS finally make use of the combo.
Yeah, you don't get Hurrywin's Defender of Olympus to land the damage, but you still get the damage mitigation onto Leon, takes 2 tower shots, I believe, with that additional defense from Hurrywind's ultimate. So that mitigation comes in value there. Donut Duck wasn't able to find the return kill. Had Leon just been there alone, I'm pretty sure he dies. So great teamwork from LEONCITOS. They don't sacrifice too much, and they force off the beads. And now Snoopy is in a position where he already had a lead. Now he doesn't have to worry about the defensive relic anymore either. We could have Snoopy left alone on an island, probably gets the better end of that 1v1. Or you can have Hurrywind and Leon try and reprise that exact same performance. It feels like Izanami doesn't have a great answer to that play.
So Donut Doug, now, you know, that lives in the back of your head now, right? I mean, if you're Donut Doug, you don't have beads, you're like,
where do I go?
Yeah, where do I live? Like, Leon is going to do this again, and Hurrywind's going to jump on me. And so the pressure, the possibility of that happening again is something that Donut Doug has got to be mindful of. It'll help if your team is on the same side of the map as you. CapSky blinks onto Snoopy, who uses the ultimate. Perfect timing. And so CapSky looking for pressure onto the Charybdis, able to at least force out the ultimate. So choosing to hold onto the beads and the Aegis is Snoopy in exchange for the ultimate. That's often a trade that you will take. There's a grouping now for the LEONCITOS. Myth could see a full 5 versus 5 around the Gold Fury.
CapSky loses the blink as Hurrywind goes in aggressive, but alone.
But he is tanky enough to withstand the initial return of damage. Bayronary puts down Hurrywind for the first kill of this fight. 3-man stun from Heed, but it's a dash away. A root on the other end, though, as CapSky jumps back in. Drop kick against the wall. Beads get used by the Amaterasu. They will delay the stun, but Heed can delay no further. There's a 5-man chase down and a 2-man fight for DDD. 2 kills dropped by the Fury.
It was a great taunt from Hurrywind, but you're alone. Doesn't matter how many people you're hitting with your taunt if nobody's there to follow up, and nobody was there for LEONCITOS. Nearly buys enough time with that shell for the rest of the team to regroup, but not quite enough. Leon gonna try and attempt the steal here.
Can Leon walk in, put down anything? No, he can't. Gold Fury falls. There are some low health bars on DDD, but I'm not sure low enough where the LEONCITOS should fight it. They agree. The LEONCITOS will watch the Gold Fury drop back away. Luckily for LEONCITOS, that will not lose them the gold lead. It'll just shrink it down to about 300-400 or so in the lead. Experience hefty for LEONCITOS. So while gold isn't fantastic, you still got yourself a level in the mid lane and a level or so over in the dual lane. Donut Doug just ticks over to level 15, so it was about a 2-level lead a minute ago for Snoopy. And when all the farm on the left side of the map is going to Snoopy, it's no surprise. So there's still a lead in some sort, Myth, for the LEONCITOS to play around.
Yeah, and I would argue that LEONCITOS have got just incredibly strong scaling come late game. Take a peek at the build from Leon. He's already starting to getting some stacks onto that Rage. You've got Heat on Amaterasu, so whoever he's applying auto attacks to is going to take additional damage, especially around these neutral objectives. Mercury and Ama going to work very well together to shut down Fire Giants, Pyromancers. You've got phenomenal space control between Spreen and Hurrywind. So I think the LEONCITOS are probably okay with gold being relatively even at this point. The only point of concern for the Order team, I would say, is Triple D's sustain. I mean, you've got Bayronary on this Aphrodite, who's only going to continue to get stronger, already has the Lotus Crown, giving somebody, at least one person, additional protections. But I was waiting for this. Hurrywind ticks over to level 12. It is an Ankh pickup.
Heed jumped on by CapSky and Promise. It's a long, long road to get that health bar down when you don't have Donut Doug on that side of the map. And so that's actually, Myth, I think, an important glimpse at what could end up being an issue at some point here in this game, where, of course, you've got Stav, you've got CapSky, you've got double Shogun's Kusari. And so it feels like, Myth, you're really setting up for Donut Doug to just outpour damage with the way the builds have gone. And of course CapSky is going to do damage. Of course Stav is going to do damage as well. Bayronary goes into the Soul Reaver, so there's going to be there's going to be magical damage in these team fights also. It seems like some of these builds, though, are really starting to put a lot of chips in the Donut Doug corner.
Yeah, he is the only one going for just damage in his build. Everybody else going for either hybrid or facilitator role. So Doug going to be the majority of it for his team, but in a King Protection comp, you can't do much better than triple frontline plus Aphrodite.
That's right. Hurrywind needs some of that protection right now, and it will not arrive. Nice sidestep, but a jump up, down from CapSky seals the deal on that kill. A solo kill onto Hurrywind, who's dropped now for the second time this game. Luckily for LEONCITOS, no Fury up just yet. Snoopy's going to have to take a roundabout way to get out of the jungle here, knowing that DDD is over by the red buff. A Horus ultimate drop ships the team over on left, though. I wondered if they would chase out Snoopy, but instead, Snoopy and Heat are going to free farm up some of the jungle buffs. And a tier 1 tower drops over on left. So a nice gold infusion for DDD, but it's going to get answered back by the LEONCITOS. So some shot calling, you know, maybe working out for both teams.
No, this is very smart from LEONCITOS.
Yeah,
they're going to be able to
get
pick up a
tier
tier 2 pretty easily here. CapSky in, buys a little bit of time.
Yeah, but are you going to lose the fight after the fact? Snoopy is able to get
Great
out and
ult.
survive. Fantastic ultimate from Spreen, and an ult in from Hurrywind as well from the respawn. LEONCITOS playing the map so effectively.
Big juke.
It's a dodge out on the stun as well from Spreen, and now look at Leon pouring out the damage. It's a major look from Leon to send Stav back. Donut Doug joins the fight, and now everyone from the LEONCITOS looking to get out, and I think they'll be able to. Snoopy, the last one left to escape. And so that's a tier 1, a tier 2, and a kill for the DDD tier 1 tower and kill on the other end.
But maybe
Could
DDD
they-
can do
yeah.
more. Fire Giant is going to be pulled out here by Stav. Hurrywind forced to stick around, only at about 1/3 HP. Shouldn't be able to walk up very easily, but Triple D think better of their decision. They just damage check the Fire Giant, realize they don't love exactly what they saw, and instead fall back to the Pyromancer. Able to close up that gap a little bit, but look at those charts. They tell the story. Experience now even further in favor of the Order team, and gold slightly in their favor as well.
Saw some crits in that last fight, supplied largely by Leon. He's gone Rage immediately after the Golden Blade into Deathbringer. So sometimes, Myth, you'll see the Wind Demon picked up in these Mercury builds, but it looks like Golden Blade, Rage, Deathbringer is going to be enough for the time being, and I'm going to keep my eyes on what upgrade we go for on the Deathbringer as well. Some fun options as far as either you're poisoning, reducing damage output, or you're getting some of your cooldowns back on Mercury, depending on what route Leon chooses to go. Fury about to pop up. LEONCITOS are quicker to it.
Watch it disappear.
And it's going to go fast. Donut Doug, Dark Portal, might have something to say about it. Oni Fury melting. Oni Fury
That was
secured
close.
by the LEONCITOS. And DDD just a bit slow on the draw.
Doug does use the Dark Portal, but does not get the last hit on the objective itself. And LEONCITOS with, what was that, like 3-4 seconds left alone with an objective, are able to take it out very, very quickly. I'm expecting Serrated Edge from Leon in this next slot. Probably going to be the Envenom Deathbringer, but Triple D not going to rest on their laurels. They lose the objective. They got to get it back somewhere. Tier 1 tower.
Tier 1 tower drops. It's a little gold back into the DDD pockets. And this is such a unique game, if you're 20 minutes in, where the gold lead is far from out of control. The experience has consistently been in favor of the LEONCITOS. And it feels like there's like just a bit more momentum for this LEONCITOS side. But in certain moments, and depending on the way the fights have gone, it feels like DDD far from out of this match. So once you start looking towards the Fire Giant fight and how fast the LEONCITOS are able to do it, and how quick DDD might have to respond.
Surely not.
This is a good example of that, because the Fire Giant starts up. It's going to be half HP before DDD get here. There's a Horus ultimate waiting to dropship the team somewhere in this fight, but it's just promised. The rest of the team doesn't join the fight. DDD, though, able to stop the Fire Giant. And Leon looks like he's lost his 1v1 over in the mid lane, has to back away.
Yeah, does not have any sustain just yet until that Serrated is finished, so even taking the fight up against CapSky, who is incredibly tanky at this point and has a walking dispenser of HP in Baronary, probably not the best option. Believe Leon was just trying to buy some time, see if maybe he could distract Triple D from going over towards that Fire Giant. Was not the case. They were privy to it almost immediately, and Leon, being one of the best DPS targets, one of the best at burning these objectives, probably don't want him being the one creating that space.
Do you think DDD with, double Shoguns, you got Donut Doug later on in the game here, Stav, do you think there's a world where DDD can quickly shred down this Fire Giant? I mean, obviously LEONCITOS are playing on the right side of the map anyway, but if a small enough opening arrives, do you think DDD has the objective shred to maybe sneak one away?
Their objective is pretty lacking. ADC doesn't go crit, so it's more so about the team fight. Shoguns doesn't stack, so you're only getting that passive just once, and no belt pickup means you've got no additional power.
Yeah, so LEONCITOS remained the team with a better objective shred. Apparently health bar shred as well, as Stav has lost 2/3 of his health bar. And now the Bologna is TKO'd from this fight. Ultimate down as well. Don't love losing your Winds of Shamash. That's great for space control in these
taunts.
close corridor jungle fights. Heed has got the ultimate from Hurrywind, who ults on in. Dazzling offensive finds a stun onto Baronary. Heed tanking plenty of damage. Hurrywind looking for a taunt. You're going to get
Great
big
ults.
numbers here in these skinny fights. As an ultimate in from Spreen finds its way to Stop, who ends up going down first. Spreen with the Aegis stays alive in this fight, grabs a double as well. DDD, they're so close to confirming these kills, but are falling short at every single avenue. Leon, Snoopy, and Heed are going to watch the escape of DDD, Baronary Promise, and Donut Doug. The last 3 left on the map.
And those are 3 that can certainly stop a Fire Giant, so we don't see LEONCITOS pull this one out. He should be able to reset back to base, resustain, and regroup. 30 seconds left on the nearest respawn. For the Chaos team means that LEONCITOS are under no threat to move quickly. I'm not sure how much CDR Hurrywind has got at this point. Maybe he'll get it back up. His ultimate, that is, by the time he respawns, it can just teleport his way in, and maybe we see LEONCITOS force a 5-on-3 engagement, essentially. But I'm not loving this positioning on the right side from Baronary and Promise. They do start to back up once they realize Snoopy is working his way around, and that is what's going to happen. Hurrywind ults in, 5 versus 3.
Fire Giant started by the LEONCITOS. Promise linked with Baronary.
Good lord.
Undying Love needed, and Undying Love finds its value, but now Heed on the re-engage. Double stun from the Dazzling offensive. No more Undying Love. This is just damage connecting onto Baronary, but Hurrywind has been left alone. Where's the rest of the LEONCITOS? They're not even on the Fire Giant, and that's a fight that starts off fantastically for the LEONCITOS, but somehow has gone wrong.
Yeah, just so
Watch out.
many over chases, man, and now Snoopy likely
God.
going to fall next.
Spreen drop kicked against the wall. Snoopy
he out?
into the ultimate.
No.
No, Stav has got the range damage, so a 2-kill swing, and it feels like Hurrywind has been getting left on an island way too many times here in these fights. Hurrywind falls for the 4th time this game on the Athena, and for the first time, really, DDD are able to pull the Fire Giant on their own with just 3 members of the LEONCITOS on the map.
Leon hovering nearby. Stav going to stop him from moving up. Fire Giant's burning slowly.
It's dropped.
It's not dropped just yet. They are
No,
maintaining
you're right.
just the pull, but this is dangerous.
Spreen has ultimate, Fire Giant low. Spreen does not have ultimate. Heed getting ulted in by Hurrywind. This fight has gone on way too long. Leon is finished. A double kill for the Mercury. A triple just around the corner, but Leon has to dash away. Heed being chased out by Stav. Baronary does not have Undying Love, and so this is a fight where the damage will stick. And all the damage being done by the LEONCITOS. Leon has 3, and the Mercury has officially reached critical mass.
The very second Hurrywind respawns, he ults onto Leon. Leon ults his way in. They get a double taunt, and Golden Blade finds its value. You land a couple of crits, that spreads to 2 targets, immediate double, and is able to get the triple on the tail end and potentially even the game.
I think it might be Myth. It's just Baronary without ultimate. 20 seconds on all the death timers, and the LEONCITOS don't even need the Fire Giant. They will walk down the mid lane, and after a back and forth game, we'll be able to take game number 1. Now this is one, you know, if you're the LEONCITOS, you're probably not thrilled with we're probably not thrilled. You never know. It was only Spreen after
Chances
that.
are low.
Chances are low.
Never zero.
Never zero. LEONCITOS probably not thrilled with how untidy that game went. There were times where DDD were let back into the game. I think back to that last Fire Giant fight. It took almost 2 full engages. There was respawns for over a 20, 30-second fight. But it's a LEONCITOS win, and it's a LEONCITOS game number 1 that gives them the momentum here in this set. And so, untidy at points, yes, but a win nonetheless.
And I think the issues we saw from the LEONCITOS team fights are something that could be very easily rectified. Every single engagement that started to go south was an overchase, be it around the purple buff. Hurrywind goes in way too deep, finds some taunts, doesn't have anyone to follow it up, be it around the Fire Giant, the exact same thing. Reeling in that aggression is very easy to do. It's so much harder to train the opposite direction.
Well, the LEONCITOS, they're able to strike first blood here in this best of 3 set. Time for DDD to bounce back. And game 2 coming up next. After a 26-minute game number 1 and a Titan who did a whole lot of damage, the LEONCITOS able to take things in our first game of this 4th and final best-of-3 set of the day. Now without some pushback from DDD, there were lanes that early on for DDD were going well. Experience just never got out of control for the DDD team and kind of did for the LEONCITOS team. Go ahead. What do you already have?
Are you going to say triple D, or are you going to say DDD every time? Why not Donut Doug Diff or Triple D?
What?
Triple D.
But you were concerned about me saying diners, drive-ins, and dive.
Yeah.
Triple D is what they call that show. And so I would argue, yeah.
That's the title of the show?
Guy Fieri goes Triple D all the time.
Yeah, you can't coin well, you can coin a phrase. But, like, it's not patented, I'm sure.
Are you willing to take that bet?
I am.
Fair enough. All right, Triple D for the rest. And if there's any issues with it, it falls on you, Mifflin.
I'll take full legal counsel, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, now we're spiraling out of control. Leon finally started to heat up here in this game. The Mercury just took a little bit of time to get some of those items online. It was a Golden Blade start. We figured that would mean there was some scaling to happen, and then Rage and Deathbringer after that. In Spreen, Miff, you know, I think 16,000 damage, obviously great. There were a lot of finished off kills by Spreen, but I think the ultimates from this Persephone, that's a bit unfortunate. Stav was going to take that one to the face, but instead 3 of his teammates end up grabbing it. I think Spreen had some very impactful ults, and therefore team fights as this game went on. So some good value out of the Persephone, but I think really who stands out to me was finally the scaling and then the combo that the LEONCITOS found with Leon.
Yeah, Leon, the second he got his crit available to him, started to get involved in some of these team fights. It's very hard to perform on Mercury against a draft like this. 3 front line, one of them having a disarm as well, means that Leon really had to choose his fights. And this is really the first time we saw it hit Pater. You got the Golden Blade procs, you crit both auto attacks, phenomenal double taunts from Hurrywinds, and from there, you've already eliminated the majority of the threat, the majority of the damage from Triple D, because it was only Donut Doug who went for the full damage build. You've got a facilitator mid laner with frontliners marking up that team. Nobody else could really stop this Mercury.
Spreen at 403 puts together a great game for the LEONCITOS as well. So we highlighted him first and foremost in those replays. I think this is an important game as well for this team moving forward, because so much of what we saw from that Duck Club team during the SPL qualifiers was a lot of very skilled players, but oftentimes it came down to Snoopy needing these like incredible big games to kind of drag that team forward. Snoopy didn't do much here in this game, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Snoopy did what he needed to do, survived in those fights, backed away, but Spreen does massive damage numbers. Leon finishes off and sets up a lot of those kills. Hurrywin didn't have a fantastic game either. And so I think the fact that LEONCITOS were able to win that game despite not a whole lot going in their favor is a point to be excited about if you are a fan of this team or if you are this team moving forward. On the flip side, if you're Triple D, sticking with it, I think that there's still some good to hang on to after game 1, where there are these moments where you can see that you have the opportunity of the makings of something that could beat a team that is apparently as stacked as this LEONCITOS squad. I'm curious, Miff, after game 1, you know, it's Leon who swaps from mid to jungle between the last event and this one. Maybe too early to tell. We'll have to collect more data as the week goes on. Did you already feel a difference, though, with Leon and jungle versus mid?
He looked a lot more comfortable. I mean, he's playing the style of play that he's been doing for years now. Leon is a jungler through and through, and there's no role in Smite that wants to get out of their own role more so than junglers. Every jungler on the planet wants to move on to something else. I'm an ADC at heart. I'm a support at heart. I'm a mid laner. Leon's been doing the exact same thing for going on a decade. He tries to switch roles every couple of years, but he always comes back.
Did you ever switch roles, Miff?
I tried every single time.
Miff tried so much, but try as you might, never really ended up working out. P's and B's for game number 2. And so we're going to flip-flop here. Triple D in the first pick slot, and then LEONCITOS will be over in the second pick slot. And I think this is interesting, Miff, where if you're Triple D, remember how much emphasis they put on banning out Hurrywin in game 1. There's a Bacchus ban, there's a Khepri ban, you know, there are a couple other support bans in there towards Hurrywin, and it apparently worked What are you laughing at?
I'm just happy to be here with you, man.
Love being here with you too, man. Apparently it worked out because Hurrywin goes like 0-7 in that game or something. 0-5. All right, sorry, I did my man dirty. Wasn't that bad? 0-5. 0-something in that game.
0 kills.
Point being, Hurrywin felt mitigated, and there was heavy ban presence from Triple D towards Hurrywin, but the rest of the game felt like it got a bit out of control. So if you're Triple D, Miff, are you still putting emphasis towards Hurrywin in these bans, or being in first pick slot and knowing a little bit of what you've learned after game 1, or you may be changing up your strategy?
I probably wouldn't put as much emphasis, and we see that they have not this time around, but I probably would have still at least banned out that Bacchus. I think that is the pick that Hurrywin has looked best on so far, but we didn't even see all of the Hurrywin bans. We know that he loves playing Atlas. That one was still available last time around. We know that he can go towards the Hercules. That was available as well. So I think that the Athena lock-in was not him being forced down into a pick that he wasn't comfortable with. It was him more so saying, hey, I think Athena's going to work with this draft. I'll go ahead and pick that one up. And I'm sure that's been reflected, and Triple D has felt that way as well. Instead, decided to look elsewhere in the ban column.
And there were moments where the Athena did work. I mean, I'm being overly critical talking about 0-5, 0-7, but the combo with the Athena worked.
He was dead a lot.
There were a lot, and you know what, Miff? In a weird way,
please,
I think Hurrywin got massive value out of the Athena ultimate in that game. He would die early in the fight, respawn before the fight was over, and then just ult back in.
And he kept his level low, so he'd respawn quickly. Like, he actually kept his level, if you think about it.
What more does an Athena need to do, though? You taunt, you drop down Confound.
Yep. You don't even, late game, I don't even care if you drop Confound.
I want you to taunt.
That's all I'm here for.
And Hurrywin did it.
That's right.
Maybe we're being big-brained in circles here, and that's the perfect pick for Hurrywin after
Hurrywin's an inter. He needs to taunt.
Yeah, see, I didn't say that, though, Miff. You were the one who said that. A different look for Hurrywin, though, in this game. Bacchus was banned away from Hurry in game 1. He'll get the Bacchus here in game number 2, and you're going to pair that with the Charybdis. Snoopy has enjoyed the Charybdis, and I think maybe along a similar vein, but a different conclusion here, where Hurrywin probably realizes he's going to be dove a lot because of where the success of a lot of his teams in the SEC have revolved around him. Let's just stay alive as long as we can on the Charybdis.
Yeah, I think that it's just a pick that he really likes as well. I am surprised that Snoopy has kind of let off the gas. We remember back to the SPL play-ins. It was a lot of aggressive picks. Like the Izanami, the Ho Yi. Maybe it's that kind of speaking to that mentality you were talking to a little bit earlier, where when the Duck Club was winning, it was when Snoopy was making massive individual plays, putting on his cape, becoming that hero. Maybe he's got a little bit more trust in this squad, realizes that he can hang back a little bit more, play that farmer, be that backline, just survivability. And, well, Charybdis fits that role very well, and doesn't have a particularly amazing game. Wasn't a bad one, wasn't a great one. Still found a dub at the end of the day. That's got to feel great for the Snoop.
Now you're setting up, though, if you're DDD, Triple D, excuse me.
I mean, you could say DDD. It just seems like, a lot.
I got to weave in a Triple D every once in a while.
Well,
every once in a while.
Donut Dug Diff.
Donut Dug Diff. We got that one's harder. That one's harder to say, Miff, than Triple D.
Trip D.
TD. We have too many options. We have too many options. Daji out of the jungle for Leon. There was a part of me that was wondering if it would end up being Chalk jungle and we were going to see something else out of the solo lane. No, not to be. Chalk will be solo. Daji out of the jungle for Leon. But before we get there, Miff, let's talk about Zeus and Yamoja and pairing these two together at the end of the draft here for Triple D. I think for Bayron Airy, with Lightning Storm the way it works, you're putting some emphasis on promise here. You're hoping those Rivers Rebuke can trap targets in and allow for big damage numbers from your mid laner.
But it is worth noting again with the Season 9 changes that these walls, Ymir walls, Rivers Rebuke, whatever you are to spawn up structures, have inherently eaten a nerf because you don't have to pick up Phantom anymore. It's an upgrade for Shell, which is a relic that's just strong on its own. We might just see a double Phantom Shell composition or pickup from the Leoncitos, and it's going to make it very hard for this Umoja to kind of work out. And then looking top to bottom on the draft, only Bologna has CC immunity baked into the kit, and you're playing against the Daji on the other side. It's going to be pretty easy to find some ults.
Mifflin not buying Triple D stock just yet. Will he win or lose that decision? We'll find out in game number 2 of the Leoncitos versus Triple D. What?
Just win or lose that decision. I like that.
Yeah, I was trying to find out like what the term is in like
lose
stock.
On a trade, right?
Yeah, right, like something like that. But I couldn't come up with like the word quick enough, you know.
He made some bad investments. That's my life.
Yeah, but that's
man.
a bet.
Yeah.
No. Like, that's more of a stock thing. Oh, I said buying stock, not taking a bet. Now I'm forgetting how I even said that. That's my fault. I'm too busy dunking on you that I've forgotten how I've even said it.
It's 4:30
Right.
p.m., man.
Miff, we had a little break. We're having some fun. We're getting back into
Had a
it. It's
little
a
bit of a
fun
joking.
SEC qualifier event, and the Leoncitos take game 1 after a little bit of back and forth. Into game 2 we go, though. Stav's back on the Bologna. Heat on something a little bit different in the Chalk. And I want to get your take on the Chalk solo lane here, Miff. Looks like it's going to be a damage start for Heat as well. Are you buying Chalk stock to start off game 2?
Yeah, I think Chalk's really good now. I've not always been a Chalk truther, but I feel like with how itemization has changed throughout the last couple of years, with how he's got some buffs as well to the scaling in his kit, he really has started to come into his own. The ultimate is a great disruption tool. You have phenomenal survivability. Since you are going for that Transcendence, your damage output is great.
This is the option that playing against a Zeus mid affords you, but Leon is absolutely eating a lot of minion damage there. And so Bayernary under a little pressure, but Leon walks away empty-handed. I admire the effort, but the Leoncitos still searching for first blood elsewhere. This is the lane I want to keep my eyes on throughout the laning phase, because Hurrywin now on this Bacchus, you can still play a similar style, jumping in, trying to set up for some kills, but Promise also on a somewhat setup-heavy pick in this Umoja. So I think, Miff, we do have an opportunity for there are a lot of low health bars in the laning phase in the dual lane in game 1. Maybe some more jungle presence over here on left. And you're starting to see some kills get set up.
Yeah, I think junglers have got pick of the litter, essentially. Double knockup is good from Hurrywin, but it should spell just about the end of that engagement. It is impressive that the dual lane of Leoncitos has essentially lined up against this Izanami twice and has dominated the lane twice. They have controlled the pressure over there when really they shouldn't be able to match up to that level of clear.
Right.
Even with the Umoja.
Yeah, you wouldn't think. Spreen jumped on, though. Dashed its way. Leon able to follow his teammate on out beneath the Tier 1 tower. Stop still having pressure over here in solo. Remember, it was a solo kill on Heat in game 1. Still the same Bologna pick, though. He's going to do it again.
Whoa.
One auto attack. Maybe any ability away from getting a solo kill onto Heat. The good news is with Chalk, you've got a couple of potions and some sustain built into that kit. And so you won't be forced out of lane completely, but he looks like... Say again?
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's got a point in his heel just yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm waiting for him to drop it down, but it's not going to be there. Are you baiting in Leon, though? Or are you baiting in Stav, rather? He's able to walk on away, and Leon will still be searching for that first blood. Leon has been more active, though, Miff, in the first couple of minutes of this game than we saw Leon in game 1. Needed a little bit more time for that Mercury to spin up those wheels. Looks like the Daji going to find an impact earlier, and what whiplash we've gotten solo. Heat is an auto attack away from dying a moment ago, and now Stav is getting his blue buff invaded. And so good presence by Leon to apply a little bit of help, a little bit of pressure over on right.
Yeah, and that is going to go a long way. Leap out from Donut Dog will maintain his life. Snoopy forced to use the beads as well. So that is a lost trade for the Leoncitos, who decided that they wanted to go for the kill rather than clearing out the wave. Heat, though, the good topic of conversation, I'd say, should have dominance of the lane now. It's going to be very hard for Stav to reestablish that pressure now that Heat has got that sustain available to him. He's rapidly approaching that Transcendence finish up, and Transcendence, although not affording you traditional defense or utility, does with Chalk because you get scaling on the heel, which is just more effective HP.
Are you just trying to pump up the price of the Chalk stock that you bought, Miff?
Dude, I am going to short trade everybody.
It's literally illegal.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop in a ranked. Everyone's going to be picking Chalk, and I'm just going to body them.
You're setting them up for failure. You're setting up your
idiots. You like Chalk?
Have you been on the ranked grind, Miff?
Like 4 games. I'm in bronze. Or silver. Yeah. I'm in silver.
I tweeted at Aggro. Make sure you tweet all your complaints at Aggro, by the way.
Yeah, he is on the design team. And
he's on the design team, and he loves that. Yeah, I tweeted at Aggro about being hard stuck bronze, but I've also not played a single ranked game yet.
I think that's what hard stuck is.
Under some pressure. Yeah, I know, but I misused it, and I'm sorry. Hurrywin ganking the dual lane here. Donut Dog belly flopped, and he'll dash away, but Leon is just off to the side. Leon has had a presence in all 3 lanes so far this game. Leon still is Palau, but that's a stun from Snoopy. And Leon off to a 2-kill start. Daji hitting her stride right when you need her to.
And Leon holds on to the Palau, and we do see Promise use those beads late to try and escape the stun from Snoopy. So we could have Leon just rotate back over, and very easily isolate this Umoja yet again. She does take over to 5, though, so that ultimate, although used, should be back up by the time another fight comes his way.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to keep going there, Myth. That's my fault.
I thought they were going to fight, so I was
That's a
I was
good
getting
drop.
out of it.
That's
yeah.
an accurate drop by a chair, too.
It wasn't, though, because they didn't
Yeah,
fight.
but then I ruined it by saying anything when it was a good call. But if I had just said nothing, it would have been just fine.
Is this my on-job training right now?
It is.
Thanks, Dave.
This is good. I have to build you up, Myth. I have to have you step into the shoes that Aggro has left behind.
God, he has such small feet. But massive proverbial feet, if you would.
Right, and I would. And so we're gonna grow those proverbial feet of yours, Myth.
Because my literal feet, size 13s. 14s, actually.
You're kidding.
I'm wearing a size 14 right now.
Wow. Do you have to get special made shoes?
No, I could hop on like Amazon.
Yeah.
Not sponsored. Please sponsor us.
You're too worried about like we're allowed to say other names, Myth. Like we're not. I guess I'm the one who's been paranoid about Triple D. That's my fault. All right, let's get back on track here.
Yeah,
LEONCITOS off to a good start. 1,000 gold ahead after the double kill for Leon on the left side of the map. 1,000 XP as well. So this game's starting to revolve a bit around the jungle. Capsky had good moments. We want to talk about the jungle. Capsky had good moments in game 1. Winds of Shamash finishing off some kills, some good setup. But just unable to keep pace with Leon. And Leon has a good opportunity here to turn around some more kills. It's going to be a big silence, but it's countered out by Triple D and Capsky and Stav respectively. Leon actually might not have the damage to compete with this. Palau on the other side, if need be. Drop kick, beautiful against the wall, and you call his name, he shows up. Capsky sets up a double for Stav, and now the Bologna on the right side of the map. A big threat.
Man, Leon just getting greedy there. Wants to hold on to his ultimate. Had to use it. Man's just lives. Similarly to Donut Doug, who could have just leaped away, but instead died. That's the analysis.
That is the oh, great, and then I get it back, and I get to move us on there, Myth. That's fantastic. Snoopy, on the job training, we're doing it. Snoopy 2 levels ahead of Donut Doug now, and so the left side of the map feels horrible, feels horrendous even for Triple D. You're going to need to put some extra pressure there. Capsky rotates over, but finds no Snoopy around the corner. Hurrywind is going to be able to head on over, pick up the scepter, it looks like. And now this Bacchus can start to exert a little bit of pressure. And it's interesting, Myth. Now, in back-to-back games, we've seen the Persephone go with the Chronos pendant. Obviously had some value with the damage number Spreen were able to do in game number 1. Baron Airy, though, sticking with something we saw during the SPL qualifier week, which is Celestial Legion helm. And it looks like still some more defense. Obviously, you get some power in the way his build path is going. But not going full on into the pen tree, things like that we've been seeing out of the mid lane.
No, it's going to help him out a lot with survivability. I mean, take a peek at the composition of LEONCITOS. You've got a lot of dive potential between Leon and Heed, even potentially Hurrywind, which is why I believe we're seeing the Voidstone pick up as well for Baron Airy. And Zeus has got so much damage just base in his kit. His abilities do so much on their own that he can sacrifice a little bit in the build.
Baron Airy ulted, uses the beads, and finds value. Not only gets him out of the Persephone ultimate, but Leon's ultimate as well. Promise has to use the beads to walk forward. But Hurrywind already tanky, not taking a lot of damage. And it looks like the LEONCITOS will be able to walk away from this one just fine, but a couple of beads burnt by Triple D maybe makes it a lopsided engagement in favor of the LEONCITOS. First 3 versus 3 we've seen in mid.
Beads lost for Baron Airy and Promise, though. So the second that Palau comes back up, expect Leon to get involved yet again in the middle of the map. I think that for now, I'd like to see LEONCITOS kind of play back a little bit. Same for Triple D. I don't think either team has got a whole lot of horse in this race. Am I using that right? There's not much to fight over in mid, and they haven't got a whole lot of resources left available to them. So it's a high-risk, pretty low-reward play to stick around, which is why we see both of these teams start to back themselves up and reset to neutral.
This is what I'm looking out for. Snoopy. Oh, okay, so Donut Doug knows what's going on.
There's a ward right there.
Snoopy waiting to see if Donut Doug... Is he going to be able to 1v1 anyway? Donut Doug dashes away. And Snoopy maybe realizing you don't want to use too much just in case some members of Triple D are on this side of the map. But Snoopy feels like ahead of those trades despite being 1 tier item down. Snoopy's got a lot of gold to go back and spend here at some point. 1.3k or so, so he'll overtake Donut Doug in the item department. But levels making the difference over on left, and this is starting to build up like games we've seen Snoopy rosters build up as, where the left side of the map feels comfortable, you fight around Gold Fury, things like that, and you're setting up for success over on left. But eyes still have to be on where Leon is rotating here, Miff. He's got a big power spike now as hi-rez completed on this Daji. Couple sets of beads down as well. Baronary could be a good target.
Yeah, Season 9 Hydra is so much stronger now that it's got 10% penetration on it as well, so you're not sacrificing a whole lot and just damaging all the time.
Yeah, but we saw that one coming, right? I mean, that was...
Well, so did Doug, but it didn't stop him.
Right, and that's... Now we can harsh a little bit. Like,
yeah.
we saw... That was...
Let's harsh. You start.
We saw that one coming.
And how could you not, Douglas? Goodness gracious.
All right, we've harshed enough. Caps guy jumped on by Leon, and this is where we talked about the damage being there as Leon has hit a big power spike item. Stav left alone. Those Palaos connecting. Beads got to get used, but that means the stun is ready for Hurrywin. Stav will survive. Enough tankiness in the items to get that Bologna out. This one feeling a little bit more snowball-y than game one, Miff, and I don't think that's all that ridiculous to say. You've got 3 levels over in duo, 1 level now in the solo lane, despite a 2-0 start for Stav, and Leon feels like he can do whatever he wants. Baronary's going to drop the Lightning Storm. I don't think Detonate will grab the kill on a Spreen. It will not. And the LEONCITOS snag another. And now no lane on the map outside of solo is left undying.
Baronary, no CC immunity in the kit and no beads. For 150 seconds, Leon has got himself a target. Beforehand, it was probably just going to be Stav, but Stav has CC immunity in the ultimate. So we don't necessarily need to see Leon specifically go mid. We could see him drag the mid laner elsewhere on the map. I'm talking go to the Gold Fury, force an engagement, force the enemy's hand to show up. And Gold Fury is seeming like a pretty good target considering Snoopy has been manhandling Donut Douglas in the long lane. So if you're able to force him forward, that's going to give Snoopy the opportunity to leverage his lead. You're also able to force Zeus out of position as well. I want to see the LEONCITOS start grouping on any neutral objective, really. I mean, just go somewhere.
Right. I'm not sure the LEONCITOS can do much wrong here. I mean, it's not an absurd gold lead, but wide enough at right around 3,000 that plays like this will work. Baronary does not have beads. There's a Riptide on the other end, though, and that's well placed by Promise. That's a fantastic engage, but then there's an ultimate from Spreen on the other side as well. Hurrywin walks into mid. This is a great counter engage from Triple D. The disengage from Promise in that initial engage was crazy, but now there's a re-engage from the LEONCITOS, and everyone getting knocked to the sky. As Hurrywin belly flopped on through. Is the damage there, though? It is, but a bit backloaded, and somehow everyone on the map will live.
Yeah, phenomenal wherewithal from Promise to block out the Grasp of Death from Spreen, maintains Baronary's life, and make sure that he survives that entire combo. Leon getting no value from his ultimate. Thought maybe we'd see Hurrywin overextend there, but instead decides to back himself up.
Why would you think that?
Well, because he did it like 5 times in game 1.
Yeah, we're harshing.
Yeah, we're so harsh.
We're on it, dude. We're in our 4th set of the week. We can't hardly be harsh yet, Miff. We gotta wait a little bit of time before we get there. As Snoopy will continue his onslaught here on left. Tier 1 tower hasn't even fallen yet. Feels like one of those openings will eventually open, and Snoopy's just gonna knock down Tier 1 and Tier 2 tower before Triple D have much that they can say about it. And I'm not sure Donut Doug has much that he can say about it. He'll be able to walk up, at least clear out this wave, save his Tier 1 tower for the time being. The Spreen has gone into the Divine Ruin. It was Staff of Mirrodin, if I'm remembering correctly, at some point that we saw on Spreen. Unless that was our first set of the day. I've definitely seen a Staff of Mirrodin today.
Gotta hope so now.
Yeah.
You've said it so many times.
Yeah, I am praying that Spreen goes into Staff of Mirrodin, as we say it one more time.
I don't like that we.
What item are we talking about?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
God, you're annoying. The bad chair 2 work, Miff. We got to learn on the job. Follow what your chair 1 is talking about.
Man, here's the thing about how Staff of Mirrodin does give you uncapped CDR up
Do we
to
like
80%.
that on Persephone?
No, I don't think that item's very good in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
It's just a sacrifice on your damage. You're not really getting the value of that passive overly so. You're probably losing out on either like Rada Tahuti or dedicated penetration item, which is incredibly strong in the current meta. Yeah, I just don't think it's exactly value.
And I love how I just baited you into providing real analysis on an item that...
You tricked me. Oh, no.
I had to beg you. I had to drag you into analysis on Staff of Mirrodin. I'd ask you why.
Well, it's because we
3
haven't
separate
seen
times.
it in like 6 years.
Right, so you should be so excited to break it down and talk
But
about
it's not in the game, Dave.
what?
It's not in the game.
Yeah, now I really hope it's if it's not at this point, I'm in some serious trouble, and then I look like I have egg on my face. So,
So much
Spreen,
egg.
Spreen, if you hear me, please God. Yes! Come on!
Hover it, Doug. Hover it.
Yeah, give me that hover, Doug. I need it.
We're not talking about Donut either.
Yeah, not Donut Doug. 105 magical power, 10% magical pen, 10% CDR. And Spreen
then
is feeling
a whole wiki article.
and then a whole wiki article on uncapped CDR. So you're talking about damage spam, Myth?
Oh, I was wrong. It's 70%.
Staff
not
of
80.
Mirrodin's got it.
It is. You're going to be able to spam your abilities pretty consistently. You're already doing that with Chronos Fennec, so now you're going to be able to do it a little bit more. So I guess with Persephone, being able to use Bone Rush like back-to-back off the back of Grasp of Death feels pretty good. It's going to help out a little bit with that burst damage, but also with Persephone, you have to utilize your Leap to get the value of like sending out all those flowers at the same time. So that just has time consumption in itself because you're locked into an animation. So are you really getting the full value of that CDR? Probably, because Spreen's better at the game than me. He picked it.
There you go. And that is the analysis we came for as Gold Fury melts on down. Pyromancer soon to follow for Triple D. This gold lead a bit out of control now. 6,000 gold in the lead are the LEONCITOS. Fire Giant just around the corner. And so this next fight could be the one that officially breaks the game for the LEONCITOS. Forces Triple D into the loser's bracket. Tier 1 tower is an afterthought. As Snoopy and Donut Doug left alone on left, that Tier 1 tower has already fallen. As Triple D searching for their first tower of the game. Are you far enough ahead at this point, Miff? You're 16 minutes in, so it's pretty early. You think LEONCITOS could force an FG?
I think they could force the fight, but they don't want to hold on to the objective. They don't have the greatest confirmation. Persephone not the best at finishing off these objectives. Maybe your best confirmation comes from Snoopy on the other side, but he's too busy accosting Donut Doug still for 16 and a half uninterrupted human minutes, so he's not really going to have the time. He's a busy guy, can't rotate over towards the Fire Giant, and we've seen that, you know, we waited 16 minutes for Gold Fury to go down, so why take a faster pace for the Fire Giant itself? So I took a really long route to say no, I don't think we're going to see him force it.
Okay, maybe the fight, but not the the actual objective itself. Baronary at 0-1 here in this game, 2 levels behind Spreen with that awesome Staff of Mirrodin power spike.
Such a good power spike.
On the flip side, though, Myth, Baronary has gone a bit hybrid. Celestial Legion Helm has been very popular. Voidstone has also been very popular. Are you at all concerned with a build path like that? That the damage output might not be there from Baronary.
So defense loses value the later into the game it goes if you're sacrificing damage as a carry, especially from behind. It's something that Aggro and I talked about a lot last year. It's that in the late game or from behind, defense is going to get you so much less value than offense. And Baronary is certainly playing from behind right now. Not just him, but his entire team. He's not exactly tanky. His damage output has just gotten a lot better with the Charon's coin pickup, giving you 20% pen, but I am concerned with his ability to output damage, simultaneously survive fights.
Caps guy, gonna hope to survive this one as Donut Doug will stare down Snoopy yet again, intoxicate, get some value, but Donut Doug and Caps guy able to walk away. Can Leon get here before the backs are complete? Caps guy just wants some harpies. Leon follows him over the wall. That'll be a kill, but will Winds of Shamash feed one to the tower? No, it will not. So the LEONCITOS add their 7th of the game. Serrated Edge plus hi-rez for Leon. Big power spike. Now Tier 2 tower on left is going to go down. And the LEONCITOS continue to do absolutely no run.
It's a very large far cry from what we saw in Game 1, not sponsored by the way. It's just like the LEONCITOS figured out that they can go for a lower execution draft. It's much easier to perform around this Daji, around this Bacchus. So we talked about it during P's and B's. It's one of Hurrywin's best picks.
Yep.
They've just been playing aggressively on the map non-stop. It's been very minimal objective play so far. It's just putting pressure, just making sure that Triple D is uncomfortable in their lanes, especially Snoopy, who's just still doing it to Donut Doug on the other side of the map. It's been hard. Triple D has legitimately not found their footing in the last 19 minutes.
Promise just getting walked at by Leon. Beads are in for Promise. Beads are used by Promise. That's a trade Leon will be happy to take. So now the Emoja, a bit more susceptible to engage for the LEONCITOS, particularly the Daji. as this game goes on. And I think that's one of those things, Miff, you talked about the
Oh no.
CC immunity, as Donut Doug has to use the dash on the wrong side of the wall, effectively trading out with Snoopy, who's in the Whirlpool, gets the knock-up. It's maybe a closer fight than Snoopy thought he was going to be getting. But really all we're doing is buying some time for Leon to walk through. And if there were Harpies here, there'd only be one, watching Donut Doug die on down in the back. And that's an admirable effort, that he at least made that close up against Snoopy despite a 4-level deficit and an 0-4 start to the Izanami. The fact that it took that much of a rotation from LEONCITOS, maybe a personal win for Donut Doug, but another kill lands onto the Izanami. And our first player at level 20 is Snoopy at the exact 20-minute mark.
He picks up the Envenomed Deathbringer as well, so those crits going to hit very hard and will make you hit less hard in the near future. Leon gonna line up against Caps guy. I'm not sure I like his odds.
Leon's or Caps guys?
Yes.
Fair
Wait, no,
enough.
Leon's.
Yeah, well, now that Caps guy has got assistance, for sure Leon's odds we don't like. Promise, close by. There is a River's Rebuke, but Leon has his Blink ultimate out. And a zoning ultimate from Spreen will confirm his jungler's escape. So that's a small opening, a small bit of happiness where Caps guy is effectively able to win his 1v1 up against Leon, but Stav not faring much better on the other side of the map. Snoopy has finally left that lane. Means a Pyromancer is going to go down quickly. Or does it mean a Fire Giant is going to go down quickly as Hurrywind and Snoopy alone are on the FG? Triple D need to get this Oni Fury because if it gets stolen away by LEONCITOS, there is little to no hope in getting back into this game. Oni Fury down by Triple D, but in the meantime, Hurrywind and Snoopy are on the Fire Giant. This one will go quietly, and the LEONCITOS do make the call 21 minutes in to group up as 2 and get the FG on 5.
Man, what an ADC play from Snoopy. All right, I'm level 20. Guess I'll go see what's happening elsewhere on the map. And he kills a Soul Laner and picks up a Fire Giant. He'd still accosting Triple D and just creating space for the rest of the LEONCITOS to take out a tier 2 tower. Who am I kidding? They're going to try and take out Promise.
And Promise will get taken out without those beads. This game has just officially gotten out of control. This is my least favorite episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives that I've ever seen.
You can't say that, man.
I can say it.
Oh, you did.
None of this food is looking palatable to me. This is all gross.
You're on Kitchen Nightmares now.
I'm on Kitchen Nightmares. Gordon Ramsay yelling at me in the back. None of the. Never mind. Ooh, I was very close on.
Douglas
on
is such a donut, man.
That's a Gordon Ramsay. Yep, that's
Thank
fantastic.
you, man.
Titan's gonna go down here. LEONCITOS barrel down the mid lane. They take out 4 members of Triple D, and they will send them down to the losers bracket. Look, we have some fun here. This game was not in question for a decent amount of time. This is why we hype up this LEONCITOS roster. The veteranship on this team was able just to propel the LEONCITOS forward here. Again, some moments for Triple D, I think, where you can see some openings, you can see some chances in the losers bracket moving forward. But this LEONCITOS team is going to be an absolute force. Now you're looking at LEONCITOS versus Sturdy Artisans tomorrow.
It's exciting.
Or later on this week, rather.
Tomorrow's EU.
Tomorrow's EU, you're right. So I think it's Sunday, actually, we get back to that matchup. Can't believe we have to wait that long. But LEONCITOS, in quick fashion, will put down Triple D here in game number 2, and they will take the set as a result. 2-0 to the LEONCITOS. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll round out the day. The day of 2-0s comes to a close with the LEONCITOS taking a 2-0 win
Bars.
over Triple D. I actually didn't even mean for that to happen. It just worked out that way. You could say I'm a poet.
Don't do it.
And I didn't even know I was a poet.
Thanks, Captain Holt.
Was that a...
Yep.
Yeah, why did I know that? Was that a Captain Holt quote?
It sure is.
I'm a poet, and I didn't even know about it, or something, something like that. LEONCITOS take the 2-0 win here, complete with a stomp in game number 2. We're talking 6,000 gold, 10, 12 minutes in, 15 minutes in. We're looking at an early fire giant, maybe. And this is classic.
Maybe?
Yeah, the fact that we were considering an early fire
Oh,
giant. Like
I thought you were saying that they maybe did it.
No.
Okay.
No, but it was a whole lot of this, Myth, where Snoopy just continued expanding the gold lead he had over in the duo lane. And this one, actually might be... Oh, no, this is a different one of the 1v1s. I'm thinking of the one where Donut Doug nearly turned it around. Not that one.
Well, I don't think we're going to show the one where Doug looks good. He didn't win.
Yeah, we might not. Leon has another good game here, though, Myth, and another data point on how Leon swapping to the jungle feels like a comfortable change here for this team.
Yeah, I don't want to see Leon just about anywhere else, man. He is just so dominant in this role comparatively, and that's not to say that he can't mechanically play the other roles. It's just this fits his style for the team. It fits his style as a shot caller, and I think that's where we're going to see him for a good deal in the future throughout this tournament as well. This squad, I've got going a pretty fair distance.
Yeah, if they are able to continue this momentum. What's really unfortunate, God, I keep thinking about the matchup that they're going to have up against the Sturdy Artisans, two of the strongest teams we saw today. One of the two of them has got to drop down to the losers bracket, unfortunately. There was a nice double kill as we go back into game 2 that Stav had over in solo lane. That was it. That's all Triple D was able to get going here this game. Everyone else goose-egged in the kill column. Spreen, more of a support style. Persephone felt like here in this game, had plenty of kills in game 1. Just got to be there and exist while Snoopy and Leon and Heat, apparently with 15,000 damage, are going to win you the game moving forward. And so I think a multifaceted team now from what we've gotten out of this LEONCITOS squad, where we've seen a game where Snoopy can just be Snoopy, and he can run over a duo lane, he can run over an enemy ADC, and he can win you the game that way. We've seen a game where Spreen can be the one to step up and do big damage numbers. Leon was very impactful. I think Heat had a wonderful set of games here today. Hurwin really stepped up in game 2 after what was a tough game number 1. And so I think, a different look at kind of the core of this team, some players from different teams during that SPL qualifier have kind of meshed together and changed things up for the better. And so a great start moving into the SEC qualifiers here for this LEONCITOS squad. As I mentioned, a day of 2-0s, though. 4 sets we had, all of them best of 3s. We only saw 8 games. Vamps, Great Gentlemen, Sturdy Artisans, and the LEONCITOS were the 4 teams grabbing themselves 2-0s. They will move on in the upper bracket, the winner's bracket. I'm sorry, Mifflin.
It's fine.
Headed down to the loser's bracket are the other 4 teams. Now, we will not see NA again until Sunday. We've got back-to-back days of EU SCC. All of those will also be 4 best-of-3 days. And so the other 8 teams from the how many teams we have in NA, Miff?
16.
The other 8 teams from the 16 teams we have here in North America competing for a few spots in the NA SEC will be playing on Sunday. So the top half of the bracket filled out. The losers of the day will be facing off in losers round 1, and the winners of the day will be playing against one another in winners round number 2. And so I still look, Miff, Sturdy Artisans versus LEONCITOS. I think those are 2 teams that you would consider a shoe-in to qualify for the North American SEC. But they've got to meet super early on here in this bracket, so one of those 2 teams is going to have to make a run throughout the losers bracket with no room for error.
Yeah, that is pretty tough stuff, right? And for those of you not in the know, that's the Sino Moswall squad, right? That's how I'm going to coin them, the Sturdy Artisans. It's a new addition to a team that has got a history name, but certainly one that I think could step up to some of the veterans on the LEONCITOS.
Here's the good news, Miff.
Yeah.
Is not only do we have NA SEC qualifiers going on this
You're
week,
telling me we got more?
we got 16 more teams.
Wow.
And they're over in EU.
How many teams is that total?
That is 32 teams.
I was really hoping to trip you up.
No shot you thought 16 times 2 was going to trip me up.
I thought 16 plus 16 would trip you up.
It's the plus and not the time.
Yeah.
Right, got it.
Two double digits.
No, my brain works too well in multiples, and 16 times 2 just happened too quickly. EU SCC qualifiers will start tomorrow on Friday, and then they will also happen on Saturday. So 2 days of back-to-back EU SCC, all of them 4 best-of-3s as well. Plenty of excitement to look forward to there. And plenty of good team names, Miff, as we look at the EU SCC bracket.
Which one's your favorite?
I think the one that immediately stood out. All right, so I have 2 answers to this one.
Okay.
Winter Frogs is hilarious. Actually, I have 3 answers. As I've looked down the roster list,
Yeah.
more names have jumped out. EU SCC, I think, has the better better names than the NA SCC. So if we're doing name battles, EU SCC wins. Team Copyright is hilarious just because it's like so.
It's like a running gag for what we've been doing all day almost.
Right. But I think Radical Rodents.
Oh, that was my pick. And now I don't know anymore because they took him off the screen.
Belt Slap.
Oh, I love Belt Slap.
I love Belt Slap.
Those guys go cars. They're crazy.
That'll probably be the EU SCC favorite to move forward. All in all, though, Miff, we had a fast day here. A bunch of 2-0s. I think the expected teams ended up winning. Are you surprised at all with the pacing of our day, or do you think that given the rosters that we're matching up against one another, you imagined this one would be a little bit quicker?
Yeah, I think everything that we saw today so far has been within the realm of expectation for myself, and I think the viewers at home as well. But as the tournament starts to march onward, we're going to see some of these teams that are a little bit closer in seeding start to match up against each other. More specifically, on the 13th, I really am looking forward to that LEONCITOS versus Sturdy Artisans matchup. I think that one is going to have a lot of implications for the SEC for the rest of the year.
Agreed. Yeah, we're setting the stage for the SEC. Moving forward, we will jump to the EU SCC qualifiers tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on twitch.tv/SmiteGame. That's it for today. On behalf of myself, Miff, and all the other casters, everyone back in production, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.